No, here's what the dream meant. I don't even know where to begin. I've been talking to my uncle for years, showing him the truth. When I was born again, tried to give him my testimony, show him a bunch of stuff. Um, Even tried to like get him to go out to lunch with me one day so I could, really go over the stuff. And he had no interest. So, and then like all the truth I've ever showed him, like he rejects it. So, so then January this year, both my parents died, and I was able to stay in my mom's apartment till the end of the month. And then I had to move out. I had nowhere to go. Stopped working so I could take care of her. So I didn't have pay stubs, to show to get anywhere to live. So I was basically screwed. So I asked my uncle if I could live with them. And he said, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And I was like, okay, so sweet, later. And then I started calling other people trying to figure something out. And then about an hour later, he called back and he said, he's like, yeah, we want to honor your mom, so you can stay with us. I was like, okay, cool. So I did. A couple of days went by. I was staying there, and I tried to show him some stuff. I tried to show him the truth about a few things, just about one thing, really. And not only did he not accept it, he like rejected it, and then he next thing you know, his spirit was like fuming, dude. He was slamming cabinet doors harder than I've ever seen anyone slam anything, and he was screaming, and then he turned all that anger toward me, and I was like, oh, okay, I think I should leave. So I went in the room, started packing my stuff, and then yeah, then I left. And as I left, I kind of waved to my aunt because she had nothing, it wasn't her fault. She had nothing to do with it. And I kind of smiled and waved to her, and then I left. And then went and stayed with my buddy for the night. It didn't seem like he wanted me there at all. I told him about what happened, and I told him about the dream, and he just thought I was a psychopath or whatever. So I went to bed. Him and his wife were probably just bad mouthing me for a while before they went to bed. And then, woke up early, left, went, got a hotel room, and yeah, a couple, 4 or 5 days went by. Finally, my uncle apologized and said, "Oh, you can come back here. We're sorry. I'm sorry you felt the need to leave." Like totally downplayed it and didn't apologize at all. So I went back, and then when I walked in, like he didn't get up, he didn't say anything. Like he said, he might have said hey, but he didn't apologize, didn't get up, you know, nothing. So I was like, oh, okay, that's not what I expected. But so I went, hung out, and then a couple days later, or maybe it might have been the next day. Um, let me see here. Yeah, so next day I take a shower, go to the coffee shop, go to the store, get some food, and then I go back to their place. And then I was super sweaty from hanging out at the coffee shop, so I was like, I got to take a shower again, rinse off, get clean. I stink. So I did that, and then I got out, and then once I got dressed and I went out in the living room, he was like, "Hey, come here." I was like, he's like, "I got to talk to you." I was like, "Okay, what's up?" And he told me not to take 2 showers a day, and I was thinking, oh, I thought you were going to talk to me about something serious or something. I was like, okay. I was like, that kind of sucks because sometimes I need 2 showers a day, but okay, that's not a problem. I won't do it. And he's like, oh, the reason why is the money. So I said, okay, well, let me give you some money to help out. He, absolutely not. Nope, absolutely not. And I said, well, why not? the reason I can't take 2 showers is because of the money, then I give you the money. And he said, nope, absolutely not. And I was like, okay, so that basically was the end of the conversation. And then I walked back in my room, and like 5 minutes later, like 2 minutes later, maybe a minute later, I hear he starts talking to my aunt, and she's ignoring him. And then he says like, oh, did I do something? And she ignored him again. And I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. Like, this is it. It's about to pop off. And next thing I know, they're fighting over me. I almost broke down crying and almost ran out there like, oh, don't fight over me, blah, blah, like a child would, you know. But I was like, what do I do here? I gotta go. I gotta pack my stuff. I gotta go. I was like, you know, I knew I probably shouldn't have even come back because, you know, the Bible says if they don't accept you, you got to dust off your feet and move on. And yeah, but then again, I knew God wanted me to go back there, so I went back there. And then yeah, after they started fighting, I started packing up all my stuff. And then he came in while I was packing, and he's like, "You're not leaving again, are you?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You can't leave." I was like, I'm leaving." He's like, "You can't leave." He said it like 10 times in a row, like, "You can't leave." I was like, "I have to go. I have to go. I have to go. This is not a choice." And then I was like, and then, so, you know, like when he came into my room, he like walked right up into my face, got right up and walked right up to my chest. And he was kind of being a hard ass. He's like, "You're not leaving, are you? You're not leaving. No, you're not." And I was just like, "No, I'm leaving. Definitely I am." And after a second, I started, uh, I started sobbing like super hard. So I put my head like on his chest because I started sobbing because he was squeezing me like he was trying to hurt me. And when I realized that, like, that he came in there all aggressive and, you know, and then he was squeezing me, trying to like intimidate me or some shit. And I just matched whatever, squeeze back, whatever. I didn't care. But when I realized, like, is this dude trying to hurt me? That's when I started sobbing. I put my head on his chest and was sobbing. And that's when I was telling him I have to go. I have to go. And he was like, "You're not leaving. You're not leaving. You can't leave." And he even said, he's like, "If you leave, it's going to be real bad for me." And I was like, that's on you. You know, I got to go. So, and I forgive you. And, you know, we're cool. Everything's fine, but I can't stay here. And then I told him about the book of Jonah because I know he's read it. I know he's heard about it. And I was like, you know about the, and he's like, kept trying to like, just like shut me up and shake his head. He's like, I was like, no, I was like, "You read the book of Jonah, right?" And I made him say yes. I was like, "Yes, yes." And he's like, "Yes." And I was like, well, it wasn't optional. Jonah had to be thrown off the boat, you know? But the thing he doesn't understand is that he doesn't have the right spirit. He doesn't have the Holy Spirit. He must be born again. He was totally in the wrong. But yeah, I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but I definitely did, I'm sure. So yeah, left that night and yeah, we're cool now. I went back and got my stuff and he helped me get a bed from my new apartment, but he hasn't mentioned a word about it. Probably never will. Guess I can't blame him. I don't know.